Guys, welcome to Crazy Burger. So in this video we're going to be looking at 25 of the very best games on Evercade, all of which coming from these carts. Let's get started. Okay guys, so what I'm going to do is play through 25 of my favourite games that have probably grabbed me the most. Basically these are the games I've played the most from these carts on Evercade, and that's what makes a great game. One that you can't actually put down, one you can keep playing and you absolutely love. I'm not going to actually rank them, not a top 10, not a ranking of any description. I'm just going to play through them all, and these are basically my favourite games on the Evercade. I will probably at the end let you know which game is actually my current favourite from this lot. It's actually a tough choice. There are a lot of good games. Yeah, we've previously covered some really bad games as well, but for the best part there are some great games, and that's what we're into the Evercade for. Without further ado, let's get started with the games. Okay guys, we're going to start with Tanzer. Now this is probably a lot of people's most favourite game on Evercade. And yeah, I did put it at the top of my list in some of the videos I've done earlier this year and maybe even the year before that, as probably the best game on Evercade. Is it still the best game? It's really hard to say, to be honest. There might be a couple of games that are maybe better than it now and perhaps surpassed it as being the best game. And not everyone likes this game. It is very, very hard. It is kind of Strider-like. It's a really good challenge. It's really well done. It's hard to believe it's actually a Mega Drive game. It's so impressively done. Lots of great effects. It really is quite a fast-paced game as well. But it's tough. It really is a tough game. Is this the best game on Evercade? Hard to say. I'm not going to make that assumption at this video. This is just one of the best games that you will play on Evercade. Now potentially a lot of people will not have this next game on their best of lists from the Pico Collection 1, and this game is Switchblade, and it doesn't even look that great. It's not got the greatest gameplay in the world, but this game absolutely grabbed me, and this is probably one of the first games I can remember actually completing on the Evercade. I always wanted it back in the day, but I never managed to find it in the shops for the C64 at the time. And this is actually a new version made on the Mega Drive very recently by Pico Interactive, and it's an absolutely brilliant version of it. For me, I absolutely love this game. It's one of the most addictive games I think I've played. The gameplay isn't particularly great right enough. Obviously the combat is a massive letdown, but it's all about trying to find those missing sword pieces scattered throughout the sort of levels, and quite often you'll probably get to the end of this game and probably miss a sword piece or two and realise you can't actually finish the game properly or at all without having all those sword pieces. So those save states definitely come in very handy in this game. And yeah, you will probably have to go through this game quite a few times before you actually complete it. It's a great challenge. I really enjoyed it, and I recommend it to anyone out there. It's definitely on my top 25 list of best games on Evercade. Okay, next up we have the Joe Kart, Xeno Crisis and Tanglewood, and yep, both of these are on the top 25 list for me. And first we're going to play through Tanglewood. These games are very different to each other, and I know a lot of people don't particularly like this game, but I actually prefer this game to Xeno Crisis. I really enjoyed it. It's quite a relaxing game to play. Don't get me wrong, it does get very hard, it gets very tricky, and things get a bit tense through certain parts of the game. But it's quite a relaxing, cool game, and it's a challenge. It's kind of like a platform puzzle game, and there's a lot of levels here to get your teeth stuck into, and if you want to be a completist, you need to try and find every single firefly. This is a cracking game. Okay guys, moving on to Xeno Crisis, which is a very, very different game. This is a kind of a shoot 'em up in the style of Smash TV, and oh, what an amazing game it is. It's an amazing challenge as well. Very addictive. It looks absolutely brilliant for an Evercade game. Yeah, you can get this in other platforms, but the Evercade version is maybe my favourite version to actually play in this game, because the button mapping is absolutely spot on. You've got your D-pad for moving your character, and then you get each button as one of the directions to fire in, and it works so amazingly well. So in this occasion, Blaze, you absolutely nailed that button mapping. It is perfect. Absolutely brilliant game, very addictive, but one heck of a challenge. It really isn't an easy game to finish at all. Yeah, you can probably put in that cheap mode and probably get infinite lives and stuff and get your way to the end, but you can't actually finish the game properly if you do it that way. So just a word of warning, you might see all the game, but you will not see the ending if you cheat on it. But wow, what a great game this is. Absolutely phenomenal. Very addictive, very impressive, and yeah, absolutely worthy of being in anyone's top 25 collection or top 3.
All clear.
Okay, moving on to the absolutely brilliant Indie Heroes collection, which was certainly one of my favourite carts, and we're going to look at Alien Cat 2. Now, we probably played this game first because it was the first game you seen on the cart, because things were in alphabetical order, but wow, I couldn't get round to playing the other games because this game was so good. It was very addictive. It's kind of a puzzle game where you need to collect all the sort of ship pieces to then repair your ship to get back off the planet you've crash landed on. But yeah, you start off with one cat, then you get two cats you can see on the screen, and both of them move at exactly the same time. So you need to avoid blowing your cats up, standing on the spikes, whilst trying to collect those sort of ship pieces, and then you think, yep, damn. It is quite a challenge and quite tough to get your head round trying to control two cats at the one time. But once you think you've mastered that, you'll be having 3 cats at one time on the screen, then you get 4 cats. It just becomes incredibly tough to do, but oh, it's a great game. I really, really loved this game. I could even have said this might be one of my favourite, maybe even my top game on Evercade, and realistically probably it isn't, but what a great game. I really enjoyed it. It was so addictive. Probably not one of these games you're going to come back to right enough once you've actually completed it, which is probably why I wouldn't put it at the top of the pile. But for that brief period we sort of played this game, I loved it. I really, really enjoyed it. It didn't take too long to do, but it's an amazing challenge, and yeah, those save states definitely come in handy in the later levels as you progress. But I'd only wish they'd make a sequel to this, but apparently, you know, they did. There's Alien Cat, I think, all the way up to Alien Cat 9 on the Steam store if you're interested, but none of them are particularly anything like this, sadly. Okay, still on Indie Heroes Collection 1, we're going to have to play the absolutely brilliant Flea from Low Tech Games. I remember playing this back at the time when I was looking at the games announced for Indie Heroes, and this is the one that absolutely grabbed me, and I couldn't let go. It was very addictive. It doesn't look amazing. I mean, there's nothing particularly brilliant about it, but it's that gameplay, just that sort of Flea that's just forever bouncing, and you need to sort of make your way through the levels, avoiding the spikes, collecting the blood samples. Yeah, it got really tough later on right enough, and those boss battles were infuriatingly tough, but it was just that addictive gameplay, and that's what games are all about. Games that have that addictiveness that you just can't let go. You need to keep playing. Yeah, you might keep dying and dying, but you keep trying again and trying till you succeed, and what a phenomenally amazing game this is. I really loved it, and yeah, this one might be one of my most favourite games on Evercade. Absolutely brilliant. Okay, on to Codemasters Collection, and there's 2 games on here that should be on everyone's top games on Evercade. The first one we're going to look at is Cannon Fodder, which I remember playing back in the day on the Mega Drive, and this is the Mega Drive version we have here, I believe. Admittedly, I think it would have been better with the Mega version. Then you could probably utilise a mouse, which is what the game was really initially designed for. But this version is still good. It still works pretty well on a D-pad. The sort of idea is to take out all the enemies, destroy any buildings that you see using your grenades, and sort of make progress. It's so addictive, pretty simple, but it works so well, and it was amazingly brilliant back in the day as well. This one was very well rated, and it's still a top game, there's no doubt about it. Okay, moving on to the other amazing game on this collection, it's Sensible Soccer. Quite possibly one of the best top-down soccer games ever made, and it's still a brilliantly addictive game. Yeah, the graphics are pretty poor, but as football games go, this is one of the most addictive games you'll ever play. It really is amazing. You can also play 2-player as well if you have the VS against a friend, and yeah, absolutely brilliant. I played this a lot back in the Mega Drive days, and it was brilliant. Obviously you spent a lot of time, you can even edit all the player names to the proper names that they should be, but it can be a pretty painful process without having an actual keyboard. But amazing game, definitely the best football game on the Evercade, and it's still one of the best football games you'll ever play. Top down, that is. Absolutely fantastic. Takes a while to master, but once you do, you will get hooked and you'll never let go. Okay, moving on to Mega Cat Collection 2, and the first game we're going to look at is Romeo and Julie Cat, a fantastic Tetris cum columns style game with a little bit of a difference. So you've got a sort of grid in front of you, and you start off, you get 3 pieces that you need to fit into the grid. Once those 3 pieces are sort of on the grid, you get another 3 pieces, and you keep going until you sort of clear these pieces. You need to make lines and they will disappear like that, and you've got an overall target. I think you start off with 50, it progresses up to 100, 300 and so forth till you get to the end of the game. It's an amazing challenge, incredibly addictive. It's got that same addictiveness that Tetris had, absolutely brilliant. I love this game, I've played it a lot. Admittedly, it was just on the handheld, it works so well as a handheld game. I really enjoyed it, and it's one of those games you can play in any way that you see fit. You could play umpteen games of this and never play the same way twice. I absolutely love it. I could possibly say it might be my favourite game on Evercade. It's certainly my favourite puzzle game on Evercade, that's for sure. Very addictive, love the music as well, it's got a great design. And I'd recommend it to anyone who likes columns or Tetris style games. Okay, staying on Mega Cat Collection 2, we have Roneo's Tale, a brilliant sort of puzzle game that I could not put down until I'd completed it. It was one of those ones that definitely sort of got the brain cells going, because in later levels you really had to pay attention and work out a path before you even move, because as soon as you move, the platform behind you disappears, meaning you can't go back the way. So if you make a mistake, you are doomed. You have to go all the way back to the beginning. So collect the gem, collect the key, make your way to the exit. Sounds really simple, but it was brilliant. Okay, on to the Bitmap Brothers collection. There's 2 games on here that really need to be on every single person's list as top games. First one we're looking at is the Chaos Engine, and this is the SNES version that we have, thankfully, because it is better. The Mega Drive version was a little bit slower and just wasn't as much fun. Obviously we'd rather have the Amiga version, but this was particularly decent, I thought, and it's really enjoyable. Very addictive gameplay, but it is very challenging. I think without those save states, I really don't think I would have made much progress at all, but those save states certainly make it possible to get to the later levels and even finishing the game. Whereas back in the day on the Mega Drive version, I don't think I even got out World 1. It really was absolutely solid difficult, and thankfully we've got the save states. We can enjoy this game to the full. It's brilliant, really good stuff, absolutely brilliant from Bitmap Brothers. It's a pity we didn't get a few others on the Bitmap Brothers collection like Gods and Magic Pockets, but thankfully we got this one and it's a cracker, absolutely brilliant.
Layers activated. Power, special power. Special power. Special activated. Special activated. Node activated. Exit open. Level complete.
Okay, there's no doubt Speedball 2 is a classic game. I think we'd rather have the Amiga version, but the Mega Drive version that we have here is actually not bad at all. It's missing a few elements here and there that are in the Amiga version, but it still has the same gameplay. It's still really addictive. Once you sort of master it, you will never let go. It's brilliant. I really enjoyed this. I played this mostly on the C64, funny enough, back in the day, and I think I just played it non-stop. It's such a great version. It's probably even faster than the Mega Drive version. Graphically not quite as good, obviously, but regardless what platform you play this game on, it is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant, very addictive, and this game should be on everyone's collection. Sort of loosely a sports game, I guess, but regardless, it's such a brilliant game.
Replay! Get ready!
Okay, moving on to Gatelco Arcade 1, where you could choose any of these 6 games from this cart because they're all brilliant. However, there was 2 on this that definitely grabbed me more than the others. The first one is Alligator Hunt, and you can see here it's a weird, there's no doubt about it, you're a boy on a skateboard shooting aliens and all sorts going on. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever, but it's an amazing game, very addictive. It's got a few different styles. You can see here, you start off, you're just basically shooting everything that comes at you on the screen, and later levels it sort of moves on to a more traditional sort of shoot 'em up, and it's both are brilliant. It's got an amazing soundtrack. It's a great game. It's fantastic. Okay, still on Galco Arcade 1 we have World Rally, an absolutely outstanding sort of racing game, possibly the best on Evercade. Pretty simple stuff, you've just got hold down that accelerator button and react left or right depending on the sort of prompts on screen. Wow, it looks really nice. I never played this one back in the day either, so it's a totally new experience for me. It is quite similar to a few other games on different platforms. I was thinking like Neo Geo Drift, for example, but wow, amazing gameplay, amazingly addictive. It gets very tough later on, but I loved it. I could play that first level over and over and never get tired of it. I absolutely loved this game. Brilliant stuff. Okay, moving on to Marvcat Games Collection 1, where you could probably choose any of these games, but I'm choosing two off of this collection that I enjoyed more than the others. The first one being Bobble, which kind of quite unique, very different to any game I've probably played before, where you sort of play a bubble trying to find the missing ducks, I believe, and get to the end of the game. Very odd, nice premise, nice idea, doesn't make a lot of sense either, but wow, the gameplay was fantastically brilliant, and it was very well implemented within this game. There's a few power-ups that you get through the game to sort of make your progress, but oh wow, such an addictive game, very tough at times, but I think the sort of bells were very well placed through the game, where you probably didn't really need the save states because the bells were so well placed anyway. But wow, an amazing game, and certainly one I thoroughly enjoyed playing through, and it was a really nice experience that took me by surprise. Okay, also I have chosen Space Gulls from Marvcat Games Collection, an absolutely brilliant addictive game where you kind of play a flappy bird, so to speak, as you're progressing through these stages, rescuing your friends and making your way to the end of the game. Now you've got enemies, you can either avoid them, destroy them. Some of the time you will have to destroy them because there's a locked door that's stopping you from making progress, and if you take the enemies out it will unlock it miraculously enough. But what a great game, very addictive, it's brilliant, it really is absolutely brilliant, it's so well done, very simple. Unfortunately it's a super short game, much like a lot of the games on Marvcat Collection. The games are short-lived fun, but at the end of the day they're still good games, doesn't matter if it's short or not. If it's a good game, it's a good game, and this one is definitely a good one. moving on to Jellicoe Arcade Collection 1, a very good cart indeed, and for me this houses one of the best beat 'em ups we have on Evercade at the time of this video. 64th Street, a detective story. There's not an awful lot of moves right enough, but it's your standard beat 'em up sort of fare, and this one is done really well. Very colourful graphics, the gameplay is good fun. Again, it doesn't take an awful long time to actually complete it, but it's good fun, it's so well done. And I really enjoyed it. I loved sort of throwing the enemies against the walls and seeing them collapse. That was quite different to a lot of other games I've sort of played in this genre. And I really enjoyed this one, and it definitely deserves to be probably the best game on Evercade regarding beat 'em ups, that's for sure. There's a few now, and we're obviously going to get Capcom, so it might not be at the top for long, but it's definitely a great beat 'em up game and worthy of playing if you love this type of game. It's fantastic. So also including on this collection is Rodland, an absolutely brilliant single screen idea where you sort of need to either collect the flowers, take out the enemies, make progress. I think rescue your mum, I think, is the idea behind the game. I don't think you'll be able to complete this without the sort of endless credits that you can add to this. I don't know if anyone would ever have completed this back in the day without spending an absolute fortune, because it is pretty hard. But obviously if you've got those endless continues and endless credits, then it's possible to keep playing, and it's such a good fun game to play. This game definitely made it to all the different platforms as well back in the day. It's a great little game, it's brilliant. Okay, this might surprise a few people, adding this from Jellicoe Arcade Collection 2. It's Squash. Yep, a squash game. I never would have thought I'd have put this in any top 10 games of any system at all, but this is an absolutely brilliantly addictive game. And the gameplay is what it's all about. It's so much fun. Yep, it looks like a squash game, the graphics are nice, but it's all about that gameplay and how the responses are. This is what it should be all about. We have quite a few tennis games on Evercade, but they're all pretty much garbage. And if only some of the games played a bit like this. This is so addictive, great fun, very responsive, very easy to pick up and play, and very difficult to put down again. Okay, still on EliteColeyBoy Arcade Collection 2, we're looking at the brilliant TH Strikes Back Thunderhook 2. We obviously had the original game on the first cart, but I think this one is definitely the better game. It's not quite as frustrating, it's much more fun, it just feels better. It has a better soundtrack as well, as you can hear. It sounds a lot like Alligator Hunt, but wow, what an amazing game. A great achievement, I think, to have on the Evercade, because this isn't an easy game to actually emulate at all. And it's a brilliant game, no doubt about it. Kind of a platform sort of shoot 'em up style thing, and it's a great little game, great challenge. It's weird as heck, lots of odd things going on, but who cares, just enjoy it, and yeah, it's a blast. So, moving on to the C64 collection. Admittedly, not a great cart overall, not got the great selection of games. However, it does have the absolutely brilliant Lee, also known as Bruce Lee back in the day, and I really enjoyed this game. It's pretty simple enough. You need to collect all the lanterns through the sort of stages. Avoid the bad guys, you don't need to fight them, just avoid them if you can. Obviously, if they're there, you need to fight them to sort of get past, but the idea of the game is to sort of make progress, collect the lanterns and make your way through to the end of the game. And no idea how anyone would finish this game back in the day, because it is hard as heck and you would die quite a lot, especially as you get through the game. But with save states, it's certainly possible to complete the game, which I've already done. It doesn't take a long time, sadly, but it's great fun, really addictive stuff. I really enjoy it. It looks absolutely terrible. It's not the greatest graphics, even for a C64 game, but it's all about the gameplay. It's super addictive, very much a brilliant game, and yeah, I would recommend this to anyone to play. Don't be put off with the graphics, because it's a brilliant, fun game to play. Okay, so moving on to Tapeworm Disco Puzzle, coming on Indie Heroes Collection to January 2023, and this is the outstanding game on that collection and well worthy of being in the top 25 on the Evercade. It's a great little game, a puzzle game, a single screen puzzle game again, yeah. So if you don't like puzzle games, you might not enjoy it, but for me, it was brilliant. I played it as Game of the Month until it was finished, and the later levels especially were the ones that I loved the best. It was a great challenge. There are some levels in between that get a little bit frustrating, right enough, but it was a great challenge. I really enjoyed it. It's such an amazing game. And another one from Low Tech Games, again, that I've added to the list. The other one was Flea. You can probably tell with the similar sort of graphical style, but what a great game. I hope we get more games from Low Tech in the future, because so far they've made some absolute crackers, that's for sure. Okay, that brings us to the new dual cart that we got fairly recently at the time of this video. Always Awakening and Cathedral, two outstanding games. Are they the best on Evercade? I'm not so sure. Now, a lot of people think Cathedral might be the best game now on Evercade. There's no doubt it's probably one of the biggest games. It will take you a number of hours to complete this game. However, it is very, very tough. It's very frustrating. I feel a little bit annoyed every time playing it because you seem to die quite a lot. There's not a lot of direction in the game on where to go, but there's no doubt this is a great, great game. There's a lot going on. The graphics are fantastic. It's a great challenge, and yeah, it's probably one of the best value that you'll get on Evercade. The fact that it could take you 40 to 50 hours to complete, but beware, it is absolutely tough as heck. It is very, very frustrating. You might get more annoyed with it as you go through the game, but I'm not sure it is the best game on Evercade. I think I prefer Always Awakening, to be honest. I might prefer that over this game. That might change through time, I guess, but at this present time I think Alwa is probably the better game, and it's much more fun to play than this one. Still a great game though. So that leaves us with Always Awakening, and yeah, I think I prefer this game. It's not quite as frustrating, it's more fun, and it's definitely one of the ones I enjoyed playing more than Cathedral. It really didn't annoy me quite as much with constant deaths. However, it's still pretty similar in the fact that it's a good challenge. It does get a little bit frustrating, and similar to Cathedral, sometimes there's a lack of direction in the game. You might get to a point where you're not actually sure where to go and what part to go to make progress, and you think you've probably seen it all when you probably haven't. There's a few sort of secret areas. There's some spikes that are not really spikes where you can sort of jump down. There's secret walls that you probably didn't know were secret walls and things like that. So you need to look out for absolutely everything, and sort of small tips here and there that might give away the fact that they're not really spikes or that's not really a wall. But yeah, it's a great game. I really enjoyed it, although I did actually prefer the sequel to this, Always Legacy. I think that's a better game. Maybe we'll see that one day on Evercade. Not sure if it's actually possible, but that would be amazing because I think that's a better game. But this is still an absolutely brilliant game. It shouldn't take you quite as long to complete like Cathedral. For me, it's probably going to take somewhere between maybe 5 to 10 hours at most. Probably maximum 5, I would say, but it's still a brilliant game. If you're going to sort of collect every sort of thing in the game, it might take you upwards to 10 hours to complete. But I think possibly this could be the best game in Evercade, maybe. Okay guys, I hope you were counting there. We are not at 25, we are at 24, funny enough, same as the death count, and the 25th one is Final Fight. For me, I absolutely love this game. I'm not saying it's going to be the best game on Evercade, but it's going to be one of my most favourite games. I loved this game back in the day. Played it a lot, and I've played it a lot even recently, and I never really get tired of it. It's an absolutely brilliant beat 'em up. Possibly the best beat 'em up of its type in any system at all. It's really well done. I absolutely loved it. And even the sequels on the SNES were nowhere near as good. It was this arcade version was the pinnacle. It was so good. However, what is the best game on Evercade? It's really hard to say these days. There's so many games, we've got over 300 games or something at this point. I think it's got more and more difficult to try and rank these games and put them in the top 5, top 10. Everyone is going to have a different opinion to what the top games are on Evercade. I think it was easier maybe a couple of years ago because there was less games, but at this point I think I'm just listing these games as 25 games that you really must play. They're absolutely brilliant and my favourite games by a long way, given the fact these are the games that I've played the most, and that's how I've ranked them basically. Games that I've played the most and couldn't put down and thoroughly enjoyed. Guys, let me know what you think. Are there any games that I've not included in this list that you would add in the list? Are there games I've included that you wouldn't include on your favourite list? Let me know. I'll happily get into the comments and sort of get a conversation going. Let me know. Guys, thanks very much for watching. I'll leave you with Final Fight. It's coming soon. Sadly, it's not on a cart, but it will be on your EXP if you're lucky enough to have one pre-ordered. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.
Yeah!